All right, so welcome to the 13th episode of the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast. This podcast is about understanding and bringing together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle under one unified roof as much as possible to ensure we don't become a permanent underclass in a country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. Taking into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing, our empowerment and freedom march is most certainly not starting at square one. My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Black Gold Nation. I am a direct product of the Shrines of the Black Madonna's efforts since 1953 to empower, liberate, free, and save Black people. The Black Gold Nation is headquartered out of Houston, Texas, which is where I reside. My co-host is Sister Shannon Ingram. Sister Shannon is a Black Gold ambassador in training in the Black Gold Nation, and she resides in Denver, Colorado. The podcast is titled How to Build a Black Nation with Power because we're trying to get our people, Black people, to understand that what we're trying to do is possible, and it's possible because of people like the brother we're going to talk to this evening, Black people who are operating and functioning at an extremely high level. And of course, if we get enough of these Black people in one space, then there's nothing we cannot accomplish. So one of those areas, of course, that we got to have leadership and expertise in is economics and finance. We titled the podcast How to Build a Black Nation with Power, with focus on, as we focus on three areas. One, having a strong foundation by which we can build upon. The Black Gold Nation is based on the efforts of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, again, that started in 1953, so that is our foundation. Leadership, you cannot build anything if you don't have strong leadership, which is why we're interviewing this brother and why we have a national leadership election. And of course, we have to have a spiritual connection and understanding, which is why we have the episode Spiritual Sankofa to talk about spirituality and how much we need it. So tonight's guest is Brother Harlan Robinson, who is the Chief Consultant for the Black Gold Nation's Economics and Finance Department. Brother Harlan, thank you very much, man. I know you're busy doing what you do. I do appreciate you taking time out of your very, very, very busy day to be here. So I do thank you for that. All right, so a bit about, what'd you say?
No problem.
Okay, all right. So a bit about Brother Harlan before we get into these questions. So entrepreneur, position trader, and startup investor, extensive entrepreneurial experience, substantial startup experience, strong group communicator, ability to drive out-of-box thinking, early cryptocurrency enthusiast, and expert, electrician, auto mechanic, and web developer with over 25 years of experience, working in IT, transportation, education, semiconductor, hardware, and sales in both private and nonprofit sectors. Strong leadership, analytical, and time management abilities. Okay, Harlan, the first question is, per that very, very, very brief bio, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
No? I'm not surprised. I told Shannon his bio is brief on purpose. So, okay, now Harlan, were you born in Atlanta?
No.
No, where were you born? Where are you from?
I was born in Chicago.
That's right, Chicago. And how long were you there before did you go to high school there?
No, I went to middle school there, and then we went to Georgia.
Georgia, not Atlanta.
Well, Marietta, yeah.
Okay, close enough. Okay, cool. Now I know you have a sister.
Marietta.
I know you have at least one sister because, of course, she and I were a member of the same church. Is she your oldest sibling? It's just two of you?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the oldest, right?
No.
Oh, she's older than you? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay. All right. So, young brother from Chicago, spent your formative and middle school years. So tell us a little bit about Brother Harlan Robinson. What kind of middle school, high school person were you? What kind of student were you? And did you get in a bunch of trouble?
No, I never got any trouble. Never got caught.
and there is a difference. Did you play any sport? You played sports in high school, right?
No. Well, they kind of got rid of me by my freshman year.
Got rid of you how?
I was gonna be quarterback for, yeah. So that was at a time where that wasn't that wasn't too kosher. So
you mean as a Black person being a quarterback? Is that what you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
So they eliminated me early.
So football was your only sport of choice in high school, yeah?
No, football, baseball. Same
Okay.
thing with baseball.
So you're one of those brothers that
I was third. I played third base, so I had the strongest arm beside the catcher, which is why I was quarterback.
which makes sense. But I guess you had too much melanin for the position. Okay. All right. So out of high school, I don't think you went directly to college. You chose another route, right? You didn't go straight to school. Oh, you did go to college first.
No, yeah, I went straight to school. Yeah.
Okay. Did you?
And then
go ahead.
No, I went to Morehouse.
Okay. Did you graduate?
And then no, I had to leave because of financial reasons.
That's right. Okay. And I'm assuming that's why you went into the military.
Yeah, I was in Navy ROTC Marine option.
Okay.
And I was Well, I thought I was going to be a fighter pilot.
But
yeah, I saw Top Gun, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay, so what happened with that plan?
I had a baby.
Oh, yeah, children do derail things. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming because of that.
Well, more importantly, is her mother had problems that money couldn't solve.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that'll change things for sure.
Because you get a nice check if you're the baby mama of a Marine officer.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is very true. That's very true.
You get a nice check.
So
all of us.
They're not all of us. So you were commissioned in the military?
No, but if I had continued on that route,
okay,
to get a commission through the MESEP program, is like program for reservists.
Okay.
Then you would finished college and then got your thing, and then going out into the fleet, and then she would have started getting the check then.
Gotcha. Now, of course, you wanted to be Top Gun, but that didn't work out. So what job, what MOS did you eventually pick in the military?
I was a diesel mechanic.
A diesel. That seems like a hell of a drop off, brother. How do you go from Top Gun to diesel mechanic?
Well, it was I don't really remember. At that time, they were real, it was not a war stance. So you had to be really, I don't know, at that time, they were being very selective. Like at that time, you had only the people with the highest ASVAB scores even got into the Marines.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, you went from, technical. I think at the time I wanted to leave because I had to wait like 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was either that or the foreign language thing.
Okay.
And so I qualified for both. So I was just going to have to leave, I think like 4 months later or something like that.
And you were trying to leave sooner than later, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, and you did 4 years and got out, right? Was it 4?
No, I was in the reserves, and so I did. I don't know. It was
7 or 8 then total.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total of 8. Yeah.
Okay. So how does one go
almost
from
a decade?
Yeah, almost a decade. How does one go from being in the Marines, which is I have a few. My favorite uncle is a Marine, or was a Marine. He's passed. I got some friends who are Marines. I've trained with Marines, and I think all Marines are kind of off a bit, which is why I think they choose that Marine life first to go, last to know. So how does one go from being a Marine to doing what you do now in the economics and finance and IT space? How do you get from there to where you are now? How'd that happen?
I don't know. That's an interesting book, but we all end up in the same place. It's weird. It's weird. I can't tell you how many people that I talk to, and we've all done the same thing.
What do you mean?
Meaning that the majority of the people that are looking to get in to the industry or whatever, or they find themselves in front of me talking to me, they have a very similar background.
You mean the military, or just trying to find their way in?
Everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So does that must mean that there's a certain type of person that ends up where you are?
I think you have to understand what crypto is. You have to have an understanding of a technical aptitude, software aptitude, electronics aptitude.
Okay, so it's a
STEM background.
Okay.
Yeah, plus being hands-on. So because I kind of graduated from, like, I don't know, auto mechanics to things that require more and more nuance and more touch.
Okay.
Because fixing on a car, a lot of times, you're banging on stuff. You don't necessarily want to do that on a $5-6 million machine.
Yeah, probably not. Not if you want it to work after the fact.
Right. So you have to have a good feel for context. Like, can I bang on this, or does this require touch? You know what I mean?
So how does the touch aspect play into crypto, which is intangible?
Well, it's being able to differentiate maybe between a legitimate project and a shitcoin. But again, there's a subtle nuance there.
Okay.
Because I've been, I've grown up in this thing, and so I've kind of, my views on everything have evolved. And just like I was telling the guy last week, like, I don't want to sell I got my daughter's car for sale, and I could take Bitcoin for it. I mean, I would take it, but I don't think I would necessarily pay it.
Okay.
Because it's there's a finality when you're dealing with Bitcoin. So generally, it might be preferable for us in at least G7 nations to do business in the coin of the realm.
Okay.
Right? Because I could put you in jail, I could do a lot of bad things to you, but I couldn't get the Bitcoin back. So we've experienced in Canada about the government's reach to be able to corral you, cut you off from support.
Okay.
So at the same time, you can see how a government can enforce laws and rules upon its own people. You can also do the same thing with economic sanctions, because money in many ways can be a weapon. It can be used against you.
Sure.
But it can also help you pursue due process. Because if somebody cons you, the state can go into their account and make you whole.
Right.
So there's a two-way street there.
So you're saying you're saying with crypto, the government, once you have it, it's yours. The government can't do anything with that. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
Right. They could lock you up, but they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you con me out of some Ethereum or Bitcoin, and you had it in a full custody wallet,
that's yours.
They could lock you up.
Yeah, but they can't get the
They
crypto.
could lock you. No.
I guess depending on the scenario, that could be a good thing. Right.
It depends on what you're after.
So,
you know what I mean?
You just mentioned Canada. I'm not completely clear on what Canada has done as it relates to the economic move.
The truckers.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
They had a political movement. Yeah, and the prime minister not only shut down the truckers' accounts, but he shut down anybody who was related to them.
Oh wow.
Right. So
Wow.
because you're kind of a racy figure. So me and Shannon can get in trouble by talking to you.
Wow. So Canada shut down the finances of the truckers and people that were attached to the truckers?
Yep. I was just reading that story.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and of course that would be a strength of crypto because that's something that they cannot take from you. Once it's yours, it's yours.
In one context,
Yeah.
in another context, the one that they would like to architect, it would still be crypto based, but it would be a multi-signature wallet where not only you have the keys, but the state has the keys. So it's essentially they can come in and seize it.
Okay, I don't
do whatever they need to.
I don't want to get too far down the road because of course we're going to talk about crypto, but wouldn't that route defeat the whole purpose of the blockchain?
Assuming you knew that.
Well, shit, I would think that would be crypto 101, huh?
No, I mean no one will know that outside of the purview of this conversation. Because Coinbase is not going to tell you, Gemini is not going. The majors are not going to tell you about what crypto is. Right. And so, probably 50% of our GDP is based on an asymmetric relationship between you and information. If you actually knew, you wouldn't pay that, or you wouldn't do that, or you wouldn't act in someone else's economic benefit if you actually knew what you were doing.
So it goes back to the ignorance of the individual or the ignorance of the masses.
Well, right. Well, that's that equilibrium. If we both know that this tennis ball only costs 99 cents to make, there's no way you can get me to pay $3 for it.
That's right. Okay. All right. So go ahead.
So we got equilibrium in this so we got, how do we create that mismatch? I gotta put a guard on a center.
I see.
I gotta create that mismatch to get that opening.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
that margin.
Okay. And then and again, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. We're going to come back to crypto, but go ahead and finish saying what you were saying. That margin. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the profit margin is created by the asymmetry, the distance between what you know and I know.
Sure.
On various levels.
On various levels. Okay. All right. So in your head, is there a difference between economics and finance?
I mean, it's a play on words.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could come up with some academic, highly nuanced type of thing, but I mean, you could look at it. Maybe it's a question of scale.
Okay.
Right. If we're talking about $100 trillion, maybe we're talking about economics. But if we're talking about, $100 million corporation's balance sheet, maybe we're talking about finance.
Gotcha. Okay, so it depends on. So it could be both scale and the nature of the conversation.
Yeah, context.
Amen. Okay, I can dig it. Okay, cool. So what do you think, Harlan? What do you think the most critical issue facing Black people in economics and finance would be? The most critical issues, or the most critical issue as it relates to economics and finance for us?
Behavior.
Okay, explain that.
What you do, how you spend your money. If you get home with $1,200 a week every 2 weeks, what do you do with that money?
Right.
So those decisions determine whether you win or lose.
For sure. For sure.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to just follow up with the next question, but go ahead and say what you were going to say.
Well, it assumes that some people are more impulsive than others, and others are can delay gratification, like that that donut test, right? Do you remember that donut test where they had the little kids? They put
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
yeah. And the little girl, she was like, she didn't bite it though. She was
right. She was getting the most out of it though. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
She smelled the hell out of it.
Okay, so
everybody who ate the donut had far, compared to everybody who didn't, who could delay gratification, their economic outcomes when tracked over a lifetime were, night and day.
Okay.
So when you talk about a system that is designed to extract wealth from you, it is designed to play to your base metals, in alchemy speak. So, if you can't stack your acorns and save for winter, then over time, you're gonna go broke.
You're going to be without your acorns. Yeah. So
I got a 2002 Escalade out here. 20 years old, just made 20. How much is $300 car payment over 20 years worth?
A lot. Yeah, no doubt. As opposed to saving your acorns for 3-4 years and just buying something that can do the same job. Amen. That's why I don't do car payments.
Well, after it was paid for, right? Yeah, there's been a lot of, I saw some, I didn't even check it out, but I got the idea, right? Some dude was like, you change your life forever, you can save 28 grand, right? And I'm like, well, that's literally, after you pay your car off in 5 years, that's literally years 6 through 10, 6 through 11, you know what I mean? So, and that's just, if you just save for that block of time and then never touch it. Right, just save 30 grand, put it over there, and then go back to splurging.
Right. Yeah, have that set aside so that can grow and develop into something. You said a system that's designed to extract wealth from you. How does one or a people beat that system?
Behavior, teamwork.
Behavior and teamwork. Yeah, it goes back to behavior. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. On an individual level, like you just need to be worried about your small unit. If your brothers and sisters and can work together, then you can do it. So, because here's the thing, the African imports on paper look like white folks are Chinese in one generation, but they look like us until they open their mouths. But that isn't the difference. Their behavior is the difference. Right.
And would you say that behavior is different because they have a culture that supports that behavior?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so of all the issues or of the many symptoms that we have, would you say that our behavior as it relates to economics and finance is our greatest weakness or the greatest symptom of not having power?
Yeah, because it translates into other things.
Such as?
I mean, your lack of political power.
For sure. For sure. Okay.
Right. Your inability to vote as a block, right? Or your inability to do this or do that as a group.
Right.
When other groups function in that way.
Yeah. They most certainly rock and roll as a tribe. All right. So what do you think Black people are most confused by? Or what do you think we get wrong more often than not as it relates to economics and finance? What do you think we're most confused by, or what we get wrong more often than not as it relates to economics and finance?
What we get wrong?
Yeah, what are we most confused by, or what do we get wrong more often than not?
Yeah. I don't know. What did we get wrong?
Or what are we confused by?
Well,
either one.
The nature of it is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, the system is designed to confuse you.
Okay.
So the counterbalance to the confusion paradigm, how you fight the counterbalance is I've been looking at stuff like what Dave Ramsey talks about, or Christian finance.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. I'm with you so far.
All right. I was listening to this rabbi cat talk about personal finance and like the rules, like the reasons why the Jews get all the money. Of course, he rewrote history.
Of course. It's amazing how often that happens.
Yeah, but it's there. If you can extract it, and just follow those simple rules.
So the counterbalance to the system being designed to confuse you is what?
I don't know who the originator of those things, but I always use Dave Ramsey because he was kind of like the most popular person.
Yeah.
When you take conservative values and put them, you take like Christians, conservative Christian stuff and overlay it over finance.
Okay.
And basically, how do I treat you? And so Muslims got it worked out too with Sharia finance, or whatever they call it, Islamic finance.
I think Jews have that as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So everybody's acting counter to the cultural norm, right? And so, like he says in that, this is one of his taglines: the BMW is not the paid off home is the new status symbol. So don't have debt, don't carry debt.
Right.
So that's a big one. Is don't have debt.
That's the second time you've used the word culture. So it seems like the answers and our solutions keep going back to our behavior, which could be changed if the culture supported it. So the counterbalance is fundamental personal and group finance that's acting counter to the cultural norm. Did I get you right? That's what I got from what you said.
Yeah, but the culture doesn't support that. And the culture is the dominant beat. And so you can't control. I was talking to my neighbor about personal sovereignty.
Okay. Okay.
Right. And
is he Black?
No.
Okay.
Right. So we were talking about personal sovereignty, and I was just like, well, this circle that exists around you exists in your house, but then it exists in the homeowners association. Then it exists in the subdivision. Right. Then it exists in the city, in the county, in the state. And it keeps growing out. And then your bubble comes in conflict with this other tribe's bubble. Right. And that's where the friction comes in, right? And so the culture is sick.
I didn't mean the culture now. I mean the culture that we need to create. That's my point. We got to create a new kind of culture. What I'm saying.
Yeah, and so you can't do that at a macro. Sure. You got to do that on the micro.
What does micro? What does that micro look like? A family unit or a neighborhood unit? What does that micro look like?
Oh, it's a family unit.
Okay.
Right. Like your immediate up and down. Like rather you're immediate and left and right. So your left and right would be your siblings, and your up would be your parents.
Your down would be your kids.
Right. And that is where it would start. You know what I mean? But it also takes leadership.
For sure. Because without that, you're not going to know what to do or how to do it.
Well, not necessarily, because you can have bad leadership. A person might think that they know and they leave everybody into hell.
So if it's bad leadership, does that bad leadership doesn't count, does it? Bad leadership doesn't count as I guess it is leadership. It's just not the right leadership. Okay.
Right.
All right. I got you. All right. So next question. If you had the attention and support of 2,000 to 3,000 people, all of whom lived in the same zip code, what would you have them to start? What would you have them to start doing to move forward personally and as a community in economics and finance? You got the support of 2,000 to 3,000 people, all of whom live in the same zip code. What would you have them do to move themselves forward personally in finance, economics and finance, and as a community?
Well, it's like a tester. I don't know.
You said it's like a what?
He's like, what would I have them do?
Yeah. I mean, if they're looking to you for information as how to make their personal financial picture better, what would be the first 2 or 3 things you would have them do? And as a community, like you just said, it has to start on a micro level with your family unit. So they're working on their family stuff, but they also want to work as a community. So what would be a 2 or 3 things you would have them do personally to start getting their stuff in order, as well as a community block?
I don't know. That's a good one.
You don't know? If you don't know, you don't know. I'll move on to the next question. You may go to the next one.
What? Well, let me think about it.
Okay. I move. We can come back to it if I remember to come
back. You know
what?
Let's have everybody save, I don't know, $1,000.
Okay.
And make $1,000 off of their trash.
Okay. Okay. So they would have to come up with a creative way to do that, because of course most people won't know that.
Right. Okay. I want to see who comes up with the best ways to make money off of your trash.
So is the personal saving 1,000 and the community make 1,000 off your trash, or both of those the personal things, and then whomever comes up with the best idea, the community would then do that?
Well, we do both simultaneously.
Okay.
So every house on the block can save $1,000, but now we all have to figure out how to way to make $1,000 off our trash.
Yeah. Why that?
Well, I want to use that as a sifter.
I
want to sift through the stuff and see who's who.
Okay. You want to see who would do it, who would come up with the ideas, who would try, or all of that?
Well, the process of creativity, where you have to get together with with your neighbors, certain things are going to happen. I would just like to see how that unfolds and see whose mind can function in that way.
Okay.
Not different, but in that way. I'm very competent in certain things, but in other ways I'm not. And it's important for me to know what those are, so I know when to shut up.
Amen.
And be led myself. And so when you're trying to build a community, you're trying to, first of all, you got to identify leadership in the ways that get the greatest ROI.
Okay.
And so you don't have anything, you reach into the cultural legacy and you pull out our greatest assets, which is our creativity. And so that's going to crystallize in certain people.
Okay.
And once you have a group of creative people together, now you can start to build your own MIT Media Center.
Yeah, I got that.
Right,
goes back to that idea lab you've been talking about. Yeah.
Out of trash.
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
Out of trash. Right, out of trash.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm assuming, you let me know if I'm wrong. If the individuals come together as a community and they come up with some viable ideas as to how we can make $1,000 off our trash, I'm assuming you would then say, well, what other ideas can we come up with? And you would just build from there, I'm assuming. Yeah.
The trash, what they're able to create will tell you what direction to go.
Give me an example. What do you mean? Well, I know what you mean, but give me an example.
I mean, you get somebody who figures out, wait a minute, like I've seen certain blocks have like garage sale day where everybody's like got the driveways filled up.
That's right. Yeah.
It just jump out of the garage, right? Somebody can come and be like, give me that, get that, and that. Like these items are plentiful in everybody's house. And these items are plentiful in everybody's driveway. How can I take these items and recombine them into something that people might want to buy?
Yeah.
It's almost like the chefs, that chef soap, where they like, they give you a basket and you got like peanut butter, pickles.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Salami.
I've seen the advertisement. I don't watch them, but yeah, I've seen the trailer or whatever. Yeah.
Chamomile tea and I don't know, some pig feet. You got to make some delicious dish.
It must be black shoppers.
At the end, you're like,
okay,
that was you actually did it.
Right.
So you can take 4 or 5 elements, right?
Sure.
Earth, fire, and water, right? Or however you want. You could take 4 elements like DNA, right?
Yeah. And
recombine them, right? You can recombine them into greater complexities. And that takes
brain power.
A certain type of mind.
Yeah.
That person's they're out there. You just gotta.
Oh, sure. Find them.
Yeah, you just gotta, find them.
Yeah.
But you won't find them unless you put them to the right task where that intelligence can emerge.
Right.
Like the bees, right? The bees are very stupid, but when they get together, they like, okay.
Group think.
Who figured out the whole freaking, air coefficient?
Yeah. And then they just
this whole thing work.
Yeah. I got you. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so next question. We often hear about how much money Black people in America generate as a whole, as a group. But can we really do something with that money? Because of course, all of it isn't discretionary income or capital. So what could we do with a realistic percentage of the money that Black people generate as a whole that we're always hearing about?
What could you do with it?
Yeah. So if there was a way to extract a certain percentage of Black people's discretionary income, what could we do with that?
What could you?
How would you do it, and what could we do with it?
Well, you can support the things that matter, but now everybody's gonna say, "I got the thing that matters." Watch, right? I got the thing. This is the key, right?
Yeah,
It's gonna be education, or you know what I mean. That's the thing.
The typical things that are listed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you determine the things that matter?
It changes. You know what I mean. It changes like the wind. What matters now will not necessarily matter 10 years from now.
Okay.
So I don't know. You got to kind of look for the center of gravity in certain areas. Really just need to focus on, your small little group and grow its influence out.
Okay.
So it's basically you're reinvesting in yourself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that could create a certain velocity, as money begins to, you know what I mean? And it'll begin to radiate out, stay small until you burst.
From success and our progress?
Well, you stay small until you burst from your surroundings.
Meaning you outgrow them? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So from your perspective,
I don't think the purpose should ever be to necessarily grow. I should just think function at a higher level.
Okay.
Right. Or velocity, effectiveness of a smaller group. You know what I mean? Becomes like a magnet, and it grows from there.
And I'm assuming that magnet would be attracting other people, investment dollars, attracting what?
Whatever, it's almost like at a carousel. I remember being at a circus when I was a kid. This thing was spinning around, and you got to haul ass to run and then jump, right? So your group doesn't ever have to slow down. You don't ever have to dissipate your energy to pick up weaker people.
Right. Those that are worthy to be a part will do what they got to do to jump on board.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. They're going to see how fast this thing is moving, and they're going to prepare themselves to match that speed and hop on board.
That's right. Yeah. Otherwise, they're not getting on board.
And getting on board.
Yeah. So we would have to have a few merry-go-rounds and carousels at differing speeds.
Right. And again, power is only power if it's concentrated.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The whole point, is to get you to dissipate your energy on foolishness.
Which
chase that. Right?
Which happens quite often. Yeah. It'd be like a dog squirrel. just distracted on purpose, by the way, intentionally distracted. All right. Next question.
Right.
So what opportunities do you see? What opportunities are available for Black people here in America globally if we were to find a way to get enough people, a small dedicated group of people to focus on something globally that's taking place right now? What do you think some opportunities might be?
How to live your life, you know what I mean? Like the world's crying out for leadership. So functional communities
Okay.
attract people.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? And because you guys have got it figured out. You guys have got stability, security, whatever. And people want to be a part of that.
That's right. That's right.
So how do you, so the question becomes is how do you create a center of gravity so big that everybody wants to be the new America? You know, because you got, you know, the alt-right and all these people over here with their ideas of what it could be. You know what I mean? But the obelisk is waiting for someone to take hold of it in DC, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Alexander led from the front by a personal example. So you know, you can, that's possible where you can build, you know, you show you lead the way.
Okay. Okay. All right. So well, this might be, well, I'll ask anyway. So what do you think hinders us from capitalizing on that kind of opportunity? If there is something there that we could do to take advantage of, why do you think we aren't doing it or haven't done it?
Why haven't we done it? It hasn't occurred to a lot of people. A lot of times you need stress.
Okay.
You know, like winter is coming, so a lot of things will occur to people. You know what I mean? So you know, the individualism, you know, a lot of the bad ideas have to crash and burn publicly.
For people to realize that, well, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So
we got to bring gravity back.
Let some things fall.
Yeah, because right now you think you could jump out this plane and I'm straight.
Right. Yeah.
No, we got to see somebody smash the ground. See.
That's why we can't do that. Okay, so you're saying the personal, the situation and or the climate will dictate what we focus on developing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I can
so.
dig that. All right. So do you think Black people in America can assist and benefit from investing in other places abroad? Do you think Black people in America are in a position to assist other melanated people by investing abroad?
Yes and no. I mean, it depends. It's a nuanced thing.
Okay.
Like I said, your community can thump, and you know, you're in Houston. If you can, Houston is big enough to move the world. You know, like that old saying that he said, Harlem controls the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was an analogy.
Yeah.
For concentrated creativity and power. And you can do that there, and it'll resonate everywhere. So I don't think it's necessary, because social media, kind of communications technology, has eliminated the distance. You know, like, yeah, you know, if you've been on the social media long enough to see a hashtag develop into an idea.
Sure. Yeah. In a movement. Right. Yeah.
And you've seen ideas come, resonate with somebody else. They remix it and then give it back, and then it keeps going. Right. These currents. Right. And So I think you can create these currents, that other people will tap into. It just has to be strong enough, for it to
resonate and work.
Yeah, for it to resonate and work.
Okay.
I think we can't. We have to focus on creativity and going forward, not so much as what's worked in the past.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about the printing press.
Okay.
Right. And how I can't remember what I was watching, but this guy was talking about how the world changed after writing was put in the books. And then the world changed again with WordPress and YouTube.
Okay.
And now WordPress, YouTube, and money, I think, are a trinity. And those three things are going to change the way the world works.
Going to or already has? And if it's going to, what do you think it's going to change to?
Well, everybody has different. Well, I would say both. So it already has. Okay. But it's in its infancy, so it can still be hijacked.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it.
So Emperor Palpatine is like, how can I hijack this thing? We're gonna go this way, right? And somebody else is like, no, we're gonna go this way. So I think that as you're trying to create new types of organizations, they will not look like they have in the past, because that's why the Senate jumped all over Facebook. Remember how I had that thing about Facebook Libra?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I was very early. Yeah. A lot of people didn't see that.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I meant to ask you this in the beginning. How long have you been investing in crypto? Because it has been at least 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were most certainly be considered an early adopter, right?
I bought my first Bitcoin in 2014.
Okay, cool. I thought so. Okay, go ahead and finish saying what you were saying.
So, but there are certain people who did see that and knew what that meant, right? And so that's why you saw the teeth come out, and they went directly after Facebook.
That's right.
Because, and that's your clue. That's your self-organizing clue, right? Is how communities are going to be in the future. They've already changed their name to Meta. Right? And so physical communities, you're trying to architect something like the Mennonite community or the Lions Club or maybe the Mormons. I don't think that's going to have the same, because those are traditional institutions that were bound by certain geographical things. None of that means anything in this new thing.
Right. So before you say anything else, because stop it, Shannon. I have a question about the cloud. Are you about to go into a cloud in or metaverse type conversation? Because if so, I want to wait till I get to that part, because it looks like that's where you're headed.
Okay.
Is that where you're headed? Am I getting you right? That's where you were going, right? Okay, good. Save it, because we're gonna come back to it. All right. So this is a good moment to pause. We're at an hour. So if you missed the beginning of the podcast, you're listening to and watching the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast, where we seek to understand and bring together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle under one unified roof as much as possible to ensure we do not become a permanent underclass in the country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. Taking into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing, our empowerment freedom march is most certainly not starting at square one. Tonight's episode is our 13th episode, and our guest is Brother Harlan Robinson, who is the chief consultant for the Black Gold Nation's National Economics and Finance Department. My co-host is Sister Shannon Ingram. She's a member of the Black Gold Nation in Denver, Colorado. And I am Brother Tamani Mwandani, founder of the Black Gold Nation. All right, Brother Harlan, next question. Before we get too far down that rabbit hole, we got to bring it back a little bit. So we had a conversation, and we actually had one meeting about it, and I'm still excited about the idea. Your podcast, Building Wakanda. You remember that idea we were having for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always thought that was an absolutely phenomenal idea. Do you remember what that show was supposed to be about? And if you do, I want you to share that with everybody. The idea behind a Building Wakanda podcast. What were you thinking when you came up with that?
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, before I went full time into crypto, there was this thing about the lack of diversity at Google, and they put out this I don't know, call to arms for people or whatever.
Okay.
And so they were going to train some Google engineers. And so I never heard back. And so, my whole thing is how do we create, high-tech companies that will hire our children? So I began to think about, well, how do they create Silicon Valley?
Right.
From an intellectual property standpoint. So again, how do we take nothing and turn it into something? Well, what do we got? Well, let's get together with all of the HBCU STEM departments and see what we can do.
See what we got.
See what we got.
Okay.
So if you can get people to buy into that idea, then they got to put some skin in the game, as we say.
That's right.
It need to be a long-term commitment. Didn't matter really, but 50, so you start small and you just go from there. But it should be a line item in your budget. Everybody's personal budget where, even if you've only got $1,200 every 2 weeks, we only need $4 a month.
Yeah.
And it's just permanently there. Or, I like the Banking Black type of thing where maybe you could do a keep the change where you wouldn't even see it.
Right.
It just rounds up in your bank account and gets siphoned off.
And that's the best way to get it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Freedmen's Bank, they were sufficiently motivated. And in relative terms, they gave enough.
Yeah.
And had far less than what we collectively had.
Far less, and did more with far less.
But they were sufficiently motivated.
Yeah. Sure.
So
which goes back to what you said earlier, behavior that's driven by the right culture.
Driven by the right culture.
Yes, sir.
And so, right. And so you say, well, when you look at the Wakanda technology and stuff like that, how do we create those things?
Yeah.
And so we just need, stability and invest in our children.
That's right.
And then sit back, and then they will, they'll do that.
They'll do what they do. And I tell people often about that first meeting that we had, whereby you started out by talking about the power of crypto and what the kind of funds or economics, because it would definitely be a lot that could generate, which would be the money part or the seed money part of us laying the groundwork to building a Wakandan idea lab, if you will, or Wakandan MIT lab. And then you wanted to ask people, the people that were there, what did you see in that movie that you thought you could build, or that you've seen, or that was totally fake? And I was blown away by the fact that you showed us how the money could be made, and then you asked questions about what can you build, and people were answering that. So I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal meeting that we had, and I think it's something that we definitely need to get back to, because like yourself, we got brothers and sisters out here who are thinking and operating at a higher, different level that most of our people aren't even close to grasping in or understanding. But that Black intelligentsia, if you will, that's a powerful thing. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by not trying to garner that kind of intellectual capital that we obviously have. So next question, Brother Harlan, is what does a Wakanda represent to you? And how do you think we can make that a reality? What does a Wakanda represent to you? And how do you think we can make that a reality?
It's well, I've been thinking about it in terms of a DAO, right? This the concept of a distributed autonomous organization. Like our problem in the past, like if you were to try to, like I remember, like the dude at Morehouse was like at the time was like the highest paid Black like college CEO in the country, with not even 1,000th of the endowment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So corruption. Remember that movie? It was a movie called Syriana.
Yep.
It was a country dude from Texas. And he was like, corruption is how we win.
For sure.
Right. And that's not possible when you have blockchain and a DAO, because everything is done transparently. And malfeasance is sniffed out, granularly and almost in real time. I've seen it happen in communities where people have submitted proposals and then gotten the funds distributed and didn't do it. And people are like, well, you never even showed up to the meeting. You never responded to so-and-so's email. It was granular. Like they just tore you up. Yeah. And this was like 72 hours later. And then so the DAO itself can hire lawyers to come after your personal assets.
Okay, so hold on. You have to explain to me what a distributed autonomous organization is.
It's people that you've never, change our names to a 24-digit string. We're all anonymous, but we're all people, and we all engaged in this particular thing. That's what they mean by distributed and autonomous, is that it's sort of pseudonymous, right? And so that, you have a proposal to do something, and if you don't do it, the people that are working with you are going to rat you out. And immediately. And I can see where, and if you really keep it on the blockchain, I can see that you paid your rent. I can see.
You see what you did with the money.
I can see what you did with the money in real time.
Okay. So it sounds to me, and you let me know if I'm going too far with this, but it sounds to me like a distributed autonomous organization, if it's based on and or built on the blockchain, could help eradicate the negative aspects of our subculture, which is
it would help eradicate corruption.
Yeah,
it would help eradicate corruption, and so And so it's almost like Liar Liar, right? With Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you going so quick, it just, and it's just it allows for the meritocracy, but then again, that's another type of tyranny in and of itself.
So Harlan, a DAO, just from my thinking, a DAO can be used for good and bad, because if it's distributed autonomy, you can do all sorts of things, right?
In theory, I mean, it's just a much harder.
Okay.
Just a lot. The ways that organizations have been manipulated before can't be done that way.
Because of this.
Because of it.
And it being based on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to be able to tell lies. To be corrupt. So, that's the thing, is like when the electricians submit a bid to do the solar panels, how many electricians exist in the community? How many people know that this bid is padded? We don't need to know specifically the addresses where the money is going to be going, but we just know that it's too expensive.
Yeah, it don't cost that much.
Don't cost that much.
So is the DAO, from my late perspective, is a DAO? I'm assuming it's not new, so it's not like a theory. It's something that people are actually doing.
It's Wyoming law, yeah.
Wyoming law.
They codified it.
Hey man,
they codified it.
So that's powerful.
So yeah, because
that eliminates the nigger factor. It really does. Wow. Okay.
Nobody, right? I mean, you can't. Con men can't function in a space like that.
Right. Which means for us, every space needs to be like that. Correct? If we're trying to be righteous.
If we're trying to be righteous.
Dig it. And let me see if I can understand how to ask this next question. This is not on the list.
So you have to design it with like game theory, military. You have to design the rules based upon shadiness.
To catch the shadiness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, how can I raise so here's a question. So we run an exercise with the group, right? How can I raise $1 million and steal it from all of you?
Okay. So by asking those kinds of questions, you can then put the counter into the system so that cannot happen, correct?
Right. Yeah. How can I make $1 million and steal it from all of you?
You see, man, this is why I love and respect your mind, brother, because I tell people all the time that, Harlan's worries are about things we don't even know exist. What's in your head is so valuable and important to Black people, that it is not in our best interest not to tap into what you think and how you think, because it's hell. That's a revolutionary bullet point, brother. And that's heavy. Okay, cool. All right. I like that. I like that. We're gonna talk again this week, man, because I got to better understand that. But okay, next question. All right. So crypto. We're gonna get into the crypto part. Is cryptocurrency an economic pathway forward for Black people, or is it too late for us to start investing in crypto? Is it a pathway forward, or is it too late?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by a Slack message. I'm sorry, what'd you say that again?
A Slack message?
It's a private messaging app I use.
Oh, okay.
I said, I'm sorry.
TMI. I said, is cryptocurrency an economic pathway forward for Black people, or is it too late for Black people as far as investing in crypto?
Investing,
is cryptocurrency an economic pathway forward for Black people, or is it too late?
It's a nuanced question. I don't want you to think about it as an investment because most of those are illegal.
Okay.
So you can't invest in things with the expectation of profit.
Okay.
From others. That would make it an illegal type of thing, right?
Okay.
Cryptocurrency was used as a way to raise money for an idea to circumvent venture capital.
Okay.
Right? To circumvent the powers that be, the people who want to shape tomorrow. But we're only going to fund, the money's only going to go to the Winklevoss.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
If you don't look like the Winklevoss, it's going to be very hard for you to get in.
You get no capital. I got you. I'm with you.
Right.
Yeah.
So in theory, so the idea was, okay, well, let's do the meritocracy thing where the best guy, the 12-year-old girl from Afghanistan with a laptop can compete with the Winklevoss twin. Right. The meritocracy. Everybody's pseudonymous.
Yeah.
And she's just, a picture of a big bear. So nobody knows what she looks like, right? And so that was the original idea. Now, after that, since the bar of entry was so low, now you could come in and say, we've got apple pie coin. And we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and solve world hunger with apple pies. So our apple pies have been genetically enhanced by these Stanford researchers.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to build a facility to make these apple pies and cure world hunger. So we're going to pre-sell the pies and make our currency system pie.
Okay.
So you give us $10 for these pies, and then after that, the only thing we accept is pie, the cryptocurrencies, which means you have to switch. You have to buy with US dollars pie and then buy pie with it.
Okay.
So that creates a trading pair of USD and pie. Now the holders of the pie, me and my buddies, we created the pie and we give it to you and you give us dollars. And now we're rich.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, hey, look, this thing never worked out with the pie thing. So we gotta go.
Sorry. Sorry.
Right. And so
thank you for your effort.
Founders got rich. Right. The founders got rich and everybody else is left holding the bag.
Right.
So that's what happens majority of the time.
Right.
Because you can use the technology for anything and anybody can have access to it. The original intent has now become, the new rails of, beating people out of money. So that's kind of like why I had a Facebook group, so I can, verbally attack.
Right.
Shit coins. Now, it's very difficult to uncover motive. Like I have a lot of ideas in my head and no one would give me money for most of them. But I can make a compelling argument for you to give me money for one of my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very 99% of all entrepreneurship fails.
Right.
Anyway, if you're white and handsome and 6'5",
Mm-hmm.
it's still 99% failure rate.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I convinced you guys to give me money for mine, and I don't make it. I go
Right.
under.
Mm-hmm.
Did I con you?
Not unless you went under on purpose.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
how do you prove that though?
I don't know if you can without some forensic, what do you call them? Forensic accountants.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a nuance there.
So it can be a pathway forward if properly used. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying. Properly understood and properly used.
Yeah, because you get to circumvent the gatekeepers. Like,
oh yeah, because that was the whole purpose of it, right? To circumvent the gatekeepers.
Yeah, like they have these things set up. You had to be an accredited investor. So just because you saved 10 grand and want to bet it on Amazon 15 years ago, but you can't because you're not an accredited investor, meaning you don't have $2 million liquid, so you can't invest because you don't know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's like they just created a moat around
the opportunity,
wealth creation,
yeah,
by these rules
right?
That crypto got around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that was the original idea, was to be able, like Tucker. You remember that movie Tucker?
No.
With Jeff Bridges, when he created this vehicle called the Tucker, and he was the first one to create the seatbelt and the washer.
Oh yeah, I remember that. The windshield wipers. The windshield wipers.
The windshield wipers,
yeah,
and the pop-out windows, all these innovations. Yeah, they drove him crazy.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's like who killed the electric car kind of thing.
Yeah. So if you could access capital, then you could take it to the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
You could pose a threat that they can't factor in or buy you out.
Right.
So that was, that's that was the promise of the blockchain. So
you said it no longer is?
Well, it still is, but now the regulatory teeth have come in.
Right. Right. Which was inevitable actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're telling you what crypto is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're telling you what it is, not me.
Yeah.
So you'll never know. And
right. And that goes to the next question, which is a perfect segue, because the next question is what is cryptocurrency exactly?
But it's just digital money. Money existed in a certain form now. And now that technology has gotten to a certain point, it'll exist in a new form.
Right.
In another 100 years from now, they might have an eyeball that is totally digital.
Sure. Yeah.
You still have sight. But it's different and more rich.
Sure.
It's like the difference between like some dude said, difference between a Rand McNally paper map and Google Maps.
Right. Yeah.
Where you can overlay all of these. You can look at topography, weather data, all this other stuff, drill down, look in their people's backyard,
right,
and go over to Zillow and look at how much they house sold for.
All that, as opposed to just this map, this key map.
Right.
Kids don't know what a key map is.
One of those, right. You're going to want one of those new eyeballs.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Because it's awesome.
Right. Okay. I can't read those yellow notes on her wall.
But with that eyeball, you might be able to. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, touche. All right. So what excites you most about cryptocurrency and or the blockchain? What excites you most about cryptocurrency and or the blockchain?
Get off the rat wheel.
You think it's possible? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I'm not going to make the same claim for everybody else, but it's just the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that list that I created 2 or 3 years ago is still valid.
Yeah. You mean the things to invest in and follow? Yeah. That list? Yeah.
Yeah. The one I told you about.
Yeah. I got
it's still valid.
Yeah. I invested in 4 of
yeah.
them, I think. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's still valid, but you know, the because anyone can get in it, like it's so hard today to try to find out the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like because everybody's always trying to create that information asymmetry.
Right.
You know, like I was talking to my neighbor earlier, and he was talking about, yeah, crypto took a dump. Man, you know, I just lost thousands. You lost thousands too, right? And I was like,
well, I got you.
He was talking about recently,
mm-hmm.
right? I know what I'm doing now, but so in 2017, yeah, I got wiped out.
Yeah.
But I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just know things that he doesn't.
Right.
And I don't know. And it's just it's psychological leanings.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people that I meet that I know have been wiped out.
Yeah.
Were in projects that I know were really scams.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But they were like, yeah, this
all right. So
it's not in my best interest to bust the bubble. I'm just, you know.
Sure. Yeah. I got it. Do you think crypto can be used by Black people to gentrify our own communities? Like, instead of always being on the wrong end of gentrification, do you think we could use crypto to gentrify our own communities, in that we are investing in the communities to make it bigger, better, and stronger?
I don't think that's the right question.
Okay. Rephrase it for me.
It goes back to behavior. Like it doesn't matter whether it's crypto.
Yeah, it can be anything. Any investment can be used to gentrify. Yeah.
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 It's whatever is valuable. How do you get it and hoard it?
Yeah.
Right. And so, and if they've got all of the so-called wealth, how do you get them to give it to you? You have to create something that they want.
Right.
And chart, you know, like if the marijuana, and I was went to go get some pain cream at the Curaleaf store.
Mm-hmm.
And if they decided to take crypto, they probably have 10% of all of it in about a year.
That's some awesome cream.
What I'm just saying is that they decided they have something that everybody wants, and they decided to take this particular thing for it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Brother Harlan, I'm just going to say that was.
You're muted. You said that was what?
Right on target. So thank you for confirming my idea. I'm in Colorado, and I said this exact same thing sitting at the table with a group of people 2 days ago.
Yeah. And so when you think about you know, you just choose to get paid in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's how soon you do that determines how much of it you know what I mean? Like I was buying crypto every 2 weeks with $50
Mm-hmm.
5 years before everybody knew what it was.
Sure.
So it's the same rationale before the herd comes.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can have a 10x return, 100x. You'll probably do 100x from here,
Mm-hmm.
but it depends on what 100x is. You know, like you do 100x on 1,000, that doesn't change your life, but it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, it definitely takes some things off the list. Puts a line through some stuff for sure.
Well, if you make the right moves,
right,
it can change your life.
Yeah.
But for the masses, it won't. Especially if you act in ways that are in line with the culture, which is again to divorce you of whatever gains you got.
Right, and it is most certainly a game and a culture of slaves. What you smiling at? All right.
Yeah.
Next question. All right. So this question made me laugh because I heard you saying shitcoin as I was typing this question out. So I'm sure you've heard this before, and we've even talked about it, but does a Black group creating its own crypto, which is relatively easy to do, is that a realistic path forward for a group of Black people to create their own crypto? Is that something that we should be looking at doing? If so, why? And if not, why not? Creating our own crypto to help us move forward. Is that a good idea? If so, why? If not, why not?
I would say no.
Okay.
Because you're trying to create, I don't know, the chicken before the egg.
Trying to do what?
Trying to create the chicken before the egg, so to speak.
Okay.
At this point, most of the attempts have been scams, like Akon coin or something. You know.
You think they were intentional scams from the beginning, or they became scams because they realized at some point we don't have enough buy-in, but they kept going with it? You think they started out trying to be scams, or it just grew into that?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Somebody told him and he didn't want to listen because somebody told him he didn't want to listen because he needs this. He needs this to be true.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? So you can self-delude yourself all you want.
Sure.
But when you're trying to build a city with $6 billion, that's how I know you're a con man, because the Houston Stadium is $6 billion.
It takes more than $6 billion to build a city, Yeah, but unfortunately for us, it sounds good.
10 years ago, it was $6 billion.
not at today's rate. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so, So I don't. Again, the thing that supports any crypto is consensus.
There it is.
And that's agreement.
Gotta have it. Yeah.
Once you agree amongst each other, and that's a DAO, right? How do we govern ourselves? And you make people pay for the right to vote. And once you can get together and figure out how you're gonna govern yourselves and stuff like that, and you can get that, you can turn that into anything. Because all this crypto is just, we are in agreement that when we create this synthetic thing, it's a symbol of our energy.
Okay.
Just like the US dollar is. Our problem in the G20 is not the same as the problem in emerging markets or underdeveloped countries.
Sure. Yeah.
Our problem is not that. Our problem is the pissing away of the energy, right? Giving it away to cronies crony capitalism, as they say,
Sure.
or giving it to people, who didn't earn it, making sure others who didn't get it. Having a system that's designed to favor the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
opposed to the meritocracy.
Right.
Now the people in Zimbabwe just need access to financial services.
That's a hell of an analogy, man. The Game of Thrones. I tell you, boy, that's you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. And
Yes,
so
sir.
it's just a different set of needs for a different group of people in a different part of the world. So once you have consensus there, you can build it other places.
Yeah, you can do anything
And
if you have the consensus.
And as long as you have the governance structure already in place, that's not that, you can monetize yourself at any point, and the world would have to recognize it, because you guys don't work for anything else but XYZ coin. It's just saying, I've made a prediction a long time ago. I haven't seen it yet, but what happens when the lawyers say we're only working for lies, which is the trading symbol for their crypto.
Okay.
How you have like the American Bar Association, right? The National Bar Association, right? They can get together, unionize, and be like, okay, well, our crypto is called lies, and we only work for that. Right? And every lawyer gets to create 50,000 lies.
Yeah.
And then if you want to hire one, you got to go on the open market and buy lies.
Right.
And then go pay him lies. And then it just creates a self
of lies.
Of lies.
All right. Let me get back to the next question, which is right. Anyway, I got to access.
They also accept political donations. Right?
Well, of course. Yeah. And they might pay that in lies as well. So
right.
And this is one of the reasons, that how I know and I knew that Akon's efforts wasn't going to work because of this next question. Because when you start talking about creating your own money, people have issues with that. So the next question is, geopolitically speaking, and as it relates to what creating our own currency via crypto could mean to the powers that be, would that be a prudent and wise move to make? So we know we can create our own crypto. It wouldn't be prudent and wise, and tell us why.
Well, because you can be easily attacked.
Right. I thought you were going to say
at a point where you can't defend yourself.
What do you mean? At a point where you can't defend yourself? What do you mean?
We're not prepared. Race aside, the United States in many ways is not prepared to fight a cyber war with everybody in the world.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Because so now use the same analogy for Black folk and say, well, if you try to create your own token, everybody in the world would be after you.
Yeah. Because you're Black and because you're trying.
Well, right. They don't want to, capitalism is about getting something for nothing.
That's right.
So it would, like everybody says, oh, they couldn't shut off the internet. Well,
I don't think
they
that's
could.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
They just want everybody to think they can't shut off the internet. But
sure.
If everyone else is sufficiently motivated, they will. You know what I mean? So it just depends. But again, there's no reason to do that yet.
Do what? The internet or our own coin?
Well, what is our?
Well, when you say do that yet, what are you referring to?
Well, I mean, do your own crypto.
Right. Okay. Right? Yeah.
And like who made who made you the leader of all Black folk globally?
Yeah,
and then you got to answer all these questions, and then the whole time you don't have consensus. It's very easy to do once you have consensus.
Yeah, and if you don't, it's not. Is it going to be what you often refer to as a shitcoin? Yeah. Yeah. Amen. All right. Next.
My question.
That's sort of like the textbook. Sort of like the textbook definition is creating the coin without consensus.
Without consensus, right? And we're creating and trying to get right. Exactly. Go ahead, Shannon.
trying to manufacture consensus. The same way you manufacture your own enemies to make it look like you got consensus.
Yeah.
So is that where the DAO comes in, where you talk about the governance and the voting aspects of it?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where that's where my mind frame was more so in the DAO, because you have to vote and there is that governance. You can't just go and run and do something without that peer-to-peer kind of check marking and giving that okay. But okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can use it as a simple mechanism to build community participation.
Yeah.
So I mean, simple things like, what are we going to eat tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Or you just training behaviors, to function in that way. And then, but you just have to make sure that it's just like voting. A lot of conversations now are about voting.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you join your group? Now that's a different thing there. Is like the whole ADOS movement around lineage, you could restrict it such that you need 5 signatures before you can join. So it makes it much harder. You need 3 out of 5. So we know you didn't come out of nowhere. If you get, what's that old saying about something comes from the root or something like that? You know what I mean? So like, if everybody who's surrounding you was signed up by you and that grows outward, those lines of energy follow each other the same way. I keep finding Marines who are also PC techs, who are also electricians.
Yeah.
In crypto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all seem to find each other. And so along those similar lines, that you can sort of, well, what will happen is you'll have a core, even though it could grow to millions, because at some point it's going to get diluted once it gets too far out. But the core is where the power is concentrated among the core, meaning a certain way of thinking. But as it gets out, it gets diluted.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because they don't call no shots no way.
Yeah. Amen. Do you do anything with NFTs, Harlan, at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
I was just gonna ask him about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wish I had got in. There's a project or 2 I wish I had got in on the ground floor. Just just a money grab.
But it's not. I mean, NFTs are. This might be an ignorant question, but whatever. NFTs are relatively new, aren't they? No. How old is not new?
As old as the blockchain.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, NFTs are sort of the whole point.
Explain that.
No one knows what they really are. Your car title is an NFT.
How so?
Your mortgage. Right? Your note, your mortgage note. You know what I mean? What else?
It's an NFT
your
because
ID.
I'm paying
your ID.
Tell me how it's an NFT.
Well, it's a digitally unique.
Oh, okay.
See, the thing with Bitcoin is there's a property called fungibility, where if all of us put our 100 people put $5 in a bucket. Whose $5 is who?
Okay.
That's fungibility. There's no difference between my $10 and her $10.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just go in there and everybody just grab a $10 out without having to worry whose $10 was whose $10.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to your mortgage or your ID or you, we need to know specifically who you is.
So your account number is an NFT for whatever.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, yeah?
Well, if it's bound to other information to make it, I mean, like in a sense, like your address could belong to you, but I don't know it's you. So it lacks contextual richness that would give it its individual uniqueness, even though it is individually unique. It's just there. But so in a sense it is, right? It just depends on how you use it, you know, that would kind of determine that in that way. Like there's this new thing now where I can buy, I can take a time deposit. This is a thing called Hex, and I can lock my tokens up for 15 years or something.
Okay.
And then I can take that and wrap it in something else, and now I can trade it.
Oh wow.
Now it's free to move.
Okay.
Like a bond. Right?
That sounds like a damn crypto mutual fund. That's what it sounds like.
It is.
Yeah.
Is that where the layers come in, you know, on the blockchain? Because they have you have your first layer, then you got your layer 2 where I'm kind of learning like some of the stuff is hidden behind. How do I
conceptualize that? Layer 2 is just they're talking about the layers with this OSI reference model, which is used to describe the internet. And so as an analogy, we talk about the base layers of Bitcoin. So, you know, it costs millions and millions of dollars to mine Bitcoin now. So it's really expensive, which means that it's pretty solid enough for you to build something on top.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so you don't have to worry about security if you build on top of Bitcoin, because you can borrow its foundation. So you don't have to worry about security in the same way you would something else.
You saying if you build on top of Bitcoin as opposed to the blockchain on purpose?
Yes.
Because Bitcoin is built on the blockchain. I'm assuming that's why you're making that statement.
Well, Bitcoin is a blockchain. It was the first one.
Okay.
And so you can take an application and put it on top of that.
Got it.
And you don't have to worry about certain things.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's built on top of that. Now you can take something else, put it on top of that. You can keep abstracting layers and layers until finally nobody even remembers what the hell a Bitcoin is.
Okay.
All right.
And the reason why I asked that question was because I just went to Ethereum Denver. I was in there for a whole week, and I'm kind of a baby in this whole thing. But actually going to Ethereum Denver and kind of just being in that atmosphere, it was mind blowing, and I learned a lot. So thank you for clarifying that, because I didn't understand the whole different layers to and why it was. I was still trying to figure that out.
Cool.
All right. It's just a way to describe a technical abstraction where, like, if I wanted to make an airplane, I can take your design and build on it.
Something to it. So like a recipe. I'm a baker. That's why
I don't
I
have to
got
worry
bourbon
about
chocolate chip cookies, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as long as I don't do nothing too crazy, I don't have to worry about the aerodynamics of it.
Okay.
Because you've already done the work.
Yeah, because the foundation is solid. It's a proven foundation.
Foundation is, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's certain things I don't have to worry about. It's just a lot simpler.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, next question. We've talked about, Harlan, you and I, we've talked about our digital selves and how if that's controlled by other people, how detrimental it could be. Can you share a bit more detail about the importance of our digital selves moving forward?
The importance of our digital selves?
Yeah, we've had conversations about, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a big topic.
I know, it's a workshop. You got 2 minutes.
I mean, the whole point of the government is to decide who's who and what money is. That's the power of the sovereign. Right?
Yeah.
Is you don't exist unless I say you do, and you can only have money if I say you can.
Which is a scary notion.
Well, yeah, there's a big movement to make ID decentralized or manner. You know, you have this is war between what the identifiers are, who says that this is an identifier,
right?
And then the attestations around that.
The what?
So the attestations, what they call attestations.
Which is
to
what?
attest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when your kid's born, who can attest that this life exists? So, right. Who can say? So, you know, you used to get used, like I even saw somewhere recently, I think it was passport documents where they could use your old Bible.
Use your what?
Use an old Bible.
An old Bible to attest that you are who you say you are?
Well, it was a birth certificate, form of a birth certificate.
Oh. I guess if the Bible's old enough, I guess that could be considered a kind of record. Yeah, sure.
Culture, yeah, it is a cultural norm.
Yeah.
And if it's in context, you have to believe it. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so people would like to be able to freeze all your money and say you don't exist.
So is that for the government to have the ability and or power to control an individual's digital existence with the understanding that the world is going to a digital place? That's a dangerous thing for those people whom the government might deem as undesirables, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's about context, community, and consensus.
Okay.
Everybody could say, everybody in Alabama could say you don't exist, but if everybody in Florida say you do,
I'm good. Right. I guess so it depends on the circle. I got you. Okay. All right.
Depends
I
on
got
the
you.
circle.
Yeah. And again,
you know,
and conversely, some circles might not matter. Like I don't care if you don't recognize me because I'm not trying to get down with you anyway. All right. Next question. Shannon, you got something? I can't tell if you just paying attention or if you about to click your mute. You got a question, Shannon?
No, I do have a question.
Okay.
When he did state something, both of you guys kind of stated about the internet shutting down. And this for me kind of goes back to the blockchain, the decentralization. Is there something out there that if that were to happen, there's a backup on the blockchain for that type of whatever? No. Okay.
All right.
I mean, you could build one, but again, it's community.
Consensus.
Yeah, you could build your own
Have you-
like little internet that works only on the block.
And that was my question, because I heard of Helium, and I think it's Dish Network. I think who's doing it. And which is why
Yeah.
I posed that question. Okay.
Yeah, I have a Helium cell phone tower.
So what is that? What is a helium cell phone tower?
It's something that I think the shit gonna crash, but hey, I've made
No, thank
made
you.
money.
Wait.
made money.
If okay, I'm about to say, so my question was, if you think it's
Past
gonna
tense.
crash, why do you
Past
have
tense.
one? Okay, I got you.
Past tense. I got in first. The herd came. The herd didn't make any money.
But of
And
course
so
you got it in
now-
time.
I'm not out. I mean, it's just the helium device just isn't making any more money.
Okay.
So
How
it's
old
just
is it?
not
How long
wo-
has it been out?
About 2 years.
Jesus Christ. Wow. Okay.
So you had like 6 months to get it, and then it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's about how short those windows be too, man. Okay, all right. Next question. What are some things? What is a thing or some things that you've seen other people do in or with the cloud that you think if Black people duplicated that thing or even tweaked it, it could be beneficial for us? So what have you seen some things other people do in the cloud or with the cloud that if Black people duplicated or even tweaked could be beneficial for us in a big way?
Turn it off.
Turn off the cloud. How would that be beneficial to Black people?
Because you got to read a book.
No. That's a good answer, actually. That's a very good answer. And you've known other groups of people to do that. Just put that phone down and read a book, kind of thing. Yeah. Amen. I can dig it, brother. That's a very simplistically powerful answer. Next question.
Yeah.
And this goes to what Shannon was just asking. You have a strong, well, she don't know this, but you got a strong background in IT as well. A quick segue. Would you say that your background, you probably been doing crypto longer now, but would you say your background is stronger in IT or stronger in the crypto space?
Probably crypto. I mean,
Because you've been doing it longer, right?
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Like I'm not a stronger in crypto. Like I have technical challenges now that I used to know, but we couldn't afford a $150,000 network engineer. So a lot of times things don't get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to know those things, but I spend so much time doing other things and reading other things, strategy, high level, and thinking about a problem from a conceptual standpoint that I forget how to ride a bike sometimes. And so we talk about, so I don't really know how to answer that.
Yes, okay. It was a sidebar question. So the next question is, you do have a pretty strong background in IT. Hopefully you hadn't forgotten all of it. And we've also talked about how by using used computer parts, we could create our own internet to communicate with people in Africa and the diaspora. So we've had that conversation before. So what are some things we could do to create our internet to connect and communicate with Black people in Africa? And that's the question. What are some things that we could do to create our own internet?
It's just, there's a lot of open source stuff out there. I think you're creating a mesh net. Mm-hmm. My house connects to yours and yours to mine. Everybody's running a web server. Mm-hmm. Right. So essentially there's tons of stuff that is a Facebook clone. Mm-hmm. So you basically run a Facebook node from your house, and it connects to hers and his and his and his.
So that's more like an intranet, not an internet, correct?
Well, it's just what happens when once it becomes, it's a closed loop, but But once everybody in the whole state is on it and paying, it becomes the de facto internet.
Oh, dig it. You see why we talk to people like this, Shannon? You see?
It's just
Negro's
a matter of scale.
He's just being himself.
It's just a matter of scale.
Scale matters.
It's a matter of scale.
Yeah, scale matters.
Yeah, it's just a matter of scale.
Yeah.
You are answering so many of my questions that I couldn't really get answered when I was at Ethereum Denver. So I'm so thankful for this.
He ain't shit. All right, next question. All right, so Harlan, the Black Gold Nation, our national leadership election is the last weekend in June. Ideally, you should have 5 to 7 people that speak your language on some level in the area of economics, finance, crypto, IT, or whatever. So we want to, of course, we want to create a path in this economics and finance space by which Black people can start moving forward. And you've already answered the question in some way, but if you have a cabinet of 3, 4, 5, 6 people who speak your language on some level, what are some of the first two or three things you would have them do as a cabinet for a national economics and finance team to try and get Black people on the right page, both in personally and as a community? What would be the first 2 or 3 things you would have them do?
I don't know. Maybe find again, it's behavior. So if you could get, I don't like to use his name, but I don't too much care for a lot of things he's talking about. But you need somebody like a magnetic individual, like I don't know who's big out in personal finance.
Other than Dave Ramsey?
Yeah, that's colored.
Colored. I don't know. There's a sister who does personal finance she used to do it on Good Morning America. She's married to Al Roker. You know that sister I'm talking about? No. Anyway, Sister A.
Okay, yeah. Her.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Everybody just reach consensus about something. Like everybody agree.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just have a vote and be like, vote her.
Let's agree
of our checkbooks, right?
Yeah.
Everybody just get on the same page.
Yeah. And that very simple act could end up being a big thing if we could just agree on that one simple thing. All right. I like, again, simplistically profound. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. I got it. Okay. We got 2 more, well, 1 more, and then the final question. All right. So going into 2023, the elections in June, the inaugurations in October, everybody's coming together in Houston. You most certainly need to be there. Going into 2023, your cabinet is going to have 15 to 20 teams of Black people around the country. All of those teams will have one representative that's going to follow your cabinet's marching orders for economics and finance. What would be your marching orders for that group to move forward? So you got 15 to 20 teams in 15 to 20 cities, one person representing what you want us to do in economics and finance. What would be some of the first two or three things you would have them do out the gate going back to their city as it relates to economics and finance for their team?
Same thing.
Agree on something. Yeah, I like that trash idea. I think that's awesome. I mean, trash idea and then the development of an idea lab from there. I think that is absolutely awesome. And it's doable. Go ahead, Shannon.
That is very smart. No, I like that idea too about the trash.
I'm telling you.
I'm glad he brought that up because literally I have to go clean out my storage unit.
Yeah.
And half of that stuff, literally was going to throw away because my kids are too old. But it's like, no, how do you turn that into an income? Because you put money and you invested in that.
Yeah.
You got to get your money back or at least a portion of it. So that was smart.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but that's an activity around the group. right? So again, we've already elected the queen of personal finance, and we get together weekly, talk about what we're gonna do, right? How did I spend my money this week? How you what you invested in? What I'm investing in? What's my thesis for this? What? I was like, hey, let's do this. Let's do this garage sale thing. You know, just start there. People will get you. You need a reason for people to get together.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and so you give them the reason and the context of why we here, and things will grow out of that context.
Yep. Yep.
But it can only grow out of that context. So what you are is a context creator.
Right. Right. You got to provide the context so it can grow out of the context. Yeah, I can dig it. Okay. I got one last question. Shannon, you have anything you want to ask Brother Harlan before I ask this last question?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Harlan, last question. If you only had one takeaway from everything we've discussed tonight, that everybody who's watching live, those who watch the recording, you could only give them one takeaway from everything we've talked about that they will have with them for the rest of their lives, based on what we've talked about tonight. What would that one takeaway be? Agree on something?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, what would that one takeaway be from what we discussed?
I mean, set that intention and you know, and make it so.
Okay.
You just have to get together with other people and figure out a way to how to economically survive.
Yeah, for real.
So,
Sure.
you know, do simple things like sharing internet, sharing your Netflix, you know, to bridge that gap. You know, I don't need to spend $4.99 a month and you spend $4.99 a month.
Right. Give me your password. Give me your login information and let's
give me your password.
Yeah.
Right. You give me your password and I give you mine.
Right.
I'm saving $4 a month. You saving $4 a month. Now I go get somebody else. And every 4 households all got one smart TV.
Shannon, I'm telling you, man, simplistically powerful. Simplistically. And what's funny, Shannon, is that most of his thoughts are like this.
But
I already do that.
But you set the cooperative economics as the context for what can grow out of that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Now, because my trucks sit 90% of the time. You know? So we got, why do we need $500 and $500 car notes?
Right. When my truck is sitting most of the time.
My truck's sitting most of the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Daddy, that truck old.
It still run.
Yeah.
But it's clean. You should see it. You're like, wow. And people offer to buy it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing.
You know, and so you set the context in something very similar where the risk is low.
Where the risk is low.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The risk is low. So you're already paying for Netflix. You're not using all of those.
That's right.
Most people aren't.
Yeah.
So the risk of abuse from a stranger is low.
And then when you multiply that, the Netflix, the Hulu, the Amazon Prime, you know, if you do it the right way, you're easily going to walk away with $100+ that you can do something else with, like invest in something. So yeah, cooperative economics, for sure.
I like what he said about the cloud. Turn it off and read a book. I do that already. Like I've literally stripped myself of all of my subscriptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I read.
That's awesome. Okay, so the reason why we are interviewing this extremely awesome brother is because we got to have leadership, Black people nationally. We have to have people who know what they're doing in areas by which we are being attacked, destroyed, and or deficient. And of course, economics and finance is one of them. I can, if I were to listen to this recording again, which I do anyway, I'm sure I can pull out 8 or 9 workshops that Brother Harlan could probably give, especially with the Dow. I mean, Lord have mercy, that is absolutely awesome. There are things that we don't know that we need to know, that a Black person understands and has the answers for. But of course, our issue is that we're not on the same page. 2 of our greatest issues are that we're not connected and we're not organized. We don't know that people that look like us have the answers and would freely give the answer if we simply knew who those persons were. That's why we're having the national leadership election, because we absolutely must find Black people who care enough about Black people to give Black people some information that Black people need to move forward. And it's not just about us, those of us who are alive and well now in 2022, it's about who's coming after us and who's coming after them. So we are having this election to find as many Harlan Robinsons as possible that don't just have high-level expertise in economics and finance or IT, but also in health and nutrition, in spirituality, in politics, in education, in business development, both domestically and internationally. This is a must-do if we're not going to become a permanent underclass in the country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. Building a Black nation with power is most certainly possible because we have the people who look like us that represent the pieces to building that Black nation with power. So if you yourself have expertise in these areas and you think you can lead Black people forward in that particular area, we want you to go to our website, blackgoldnation.com, click on solutions, go down to leadership election and just scroll through. Find your area and nominate yourself, or if you know someone who has expertise in any of these areas, nominate that person. So we want to give our people the last week in June options to pick from. We want to have at least 5 candidates and actually it's 28 categories now, 5 candidates in each category so we can have some options. And then whomever doesn't win the election will be a part of that cabinet. So you end up working with Black people anyway. It is most certainly something that we can do. And from tonight's conversation, it is obvious that this brother can be helpful, as he's been for Black Gold Nation for the past 3.5, 4 years. Has it been 4 years? So on that note, we thank everybody for watching live. We thank everybody for watching the recording. And before we close out, Harlan, you have any closing comments you want to say about anything, or you good?
No.
Cool. All right, Shannon, anything? You still talking, Shannon? You good, Shannon?
Yep, I'm good. Just thank you for the opportunity.
Amen. All right, on that note.
It's nice meeting you.
You as well.
You'll see her again, Harlan. She's gonna be around for a minute. On that note, again, brother, I thank you sincerely. I appreciate it as always. Got much love and respect for you, not just for who you are, but for what you represent, which is a Black excellence. And as I tell people all the time, you know, what you worry about, most of us don't even have a clue it exists. And that's why it's so important that we can look to you for leadership and guidance and whatnot and counsel. So on that note, always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely always remember that nothing is more sacred than the liberation, salvation, empowerment, and freedom of Black people. Because if Black people don't make it, you're not gonna make it, because guess what? You're Black. So thank you very much, Brother Harlan. I'll be in touch. Y'all have a good one. See you later, Shannon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.